This video is going to look at Bard song lineups by the makeup of the group. It's very much my opinion, and if you have 5 bards, you're going to have 3 different opinions. The first one I'm going to look at is the easiest. That's the melee focused group. And melee focus, that's your rangers, your rogues, your monks, your bards. Anybody who is swinging a sword is going to be melee. It doesn't mean you don't have a tank in it. It means, that you're mostly meleeing. Pet classes fall into that. Their pets are helped. So Aria of Margador and War March are your primary ADPS songs. You want those up. You also want Aura of Margador, in particularly if you have pet classes, because this is one of the swarm using pet classes. This is one of the few songs the Aura will hit the swarm pets and it will enhance them. Song of Suffering and Arcane Symphony are songs that you can work into your lineup if you're not doing a lot of insults or a lot of chants. They'll add procs, they'll do some additional damage. They're probably the best of a poor lot of songs. Outside of Aria and War March, nothing is as powerful because Aria and War March both work on a percentage basis. The modern Bard game, you're going to be using chants if you've done the work to enhance the damage of your chants. And that's probably going to be the primary focus of a lot of your AA work, is to get your chants up where they can do good damage. If you look on raid, what bards are actually using on raids: chants, area, War March, and then maybe a few other things. Oh, insults. Lots of insults. So this is kind of the lineup I've come up for a melee focus group. Whether you can use all of these, you're going to have to make some decisions, and it may vary depending, sometimes you may not want to use chants, sometimes you do. Amplification I found is quite helpful because it enhances like area, your singing based songs. Okay, Castor Group is a little more difficult because you really have to know who is in your Castor Group to give them the best lineup. First, if you've got pet groups, pet users in your Castor Group, in other words, it's primarily a Beast Lord, a Mage, Necro, well, those pets fall into melee, and they're all enhanced by your melee songs. So you're probably going to want to put War March in there because you're going to say, well, those pets make a difference. If you don't have a lot of pet use, then Song of Suffering is a good example. Arcane Symphony is also good. Psalm of Potency, if you have the room for it, that'll help your fire and magic dot classes. Or if you've got mainly, let's say, wizards, then you might go Santa Lux area. Then, of course, your chants, amplification, your insults. You may not want to mem 2 insults, especially if you're like in a normal group, because it'll use your mana up if you're doing those. Then the tank group. The tank group is when you are on a raid and you've got 3 warriors and a couple clerics or whatever, or a shaman. It's going to be a special group. And their War March isn't going to help as much because they're all hasted to the max. If you're doing Margador, then they'll get the 25% overhaste bonus. And you're not as worried about DPS in a tank group. You're worried more about them staying up. Spiteful Lyric and Spry Sonata will throw in another 400 to 500 AC for your tanks. Frankly, that's not worth as much as you think it is, because these guys are already packing close to 10,000 AC as it is. And, they're at the limit. Probably throw in Pulse, because that's some extra hit points. You might consider using Aura of Volsera, which is extra hit points, rather than Aura of Margador, in which case maybe if you've got Aria up, they've already got the 25% overhaste. So you're not going to need to duplicate it. Aura would be a nice mix. And, of course, Chants, amplification, and your insults. Now, and Composite Dichotomic whenever it's up, and then you just throw in AE Mez in case you have to use that, but you can put something else in. So now let's look at the melodies. And as I said, these are very dissatisfying because you're not going to be doing everything you want. Chants last 24 seconds. Normal songs last 30 seconds. Amplification lasts 60 seconds. You can do Psalm once per minute. And then you want to work in as many insults as you can, and that's 2 per every other song. You're going to quickly realize you can't do everything. So you're going to have to make a compromise. I've given you 2 choices here. Play around with it. I know I do. The first choice is saying I'm not going to be doing chants. I'm giving up on my chants. And that may be the case that on a raid, they will tell the bards, don't use your chants because we've got enough Necros and we're going to buff lock the mob. We're going to dot lock the mob. If you have a disciplined raid force, you'll probably go by and say to shamans, don't cast these dots and turn off this that does a little pissant dot. And the Necros, don't use your smallest dots. And shamans, you can only use this dot. And bards, because every bard dot is 2 buff slots. So 4 chants is 8 buff slots. Now, if you have 3 bards, that's not as bad as you think, because the first buff slot per chant is a resist debuff, and those stack per bards. So you'll have 8 buff slots for the first bard, and then 4 for the second, 4 more, so 12, and 16 for the third bard. So if they let you use chants, you should. Most raids will, because they're very effective if you've done your AAs. But if they don't, then you might try your first 2 songs and then a couple insults, then your second 3, 4, couple insults, your 5th song, amplification, and then you would start again, and at the end, instead of amplification, you'd psalm. And this would be essentially a 20-song melody in which you refresh amplification and psalm, composite psalm every minute, and the others are refreshed just about every 30 seconds, and you have these 2 insults in between, and so you're doing 8 insults every 20-song melody, and that's each insult is approximately 5,000 DPS added to everybody who is doing direct damage spells or meleeing. Not so much dots, I believe. Your chants won't do it, but your melee attacks will. They're almost instantly done. The second option is if you can do chants, then you might try your first 2 songs, because remember, that's where you're getting the primary of your ADPS. That's Area and War March. And then start intermixing 1 insult between every song, for instance. You got your 4 chants, your amplification, then you start over, and this time you end with psalm. These are not, like I said, you're going to mix and match it. For instance, if you have somebody who's using cold spells, you might put in a different song. You're going to have to look at your specific group. These are a few starting points for the modern song lineups that I would recommend. As I said, if you look at what bards are actually using, there's a lot of chants, there's a lot of aria, there's a lot of War March. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Okay, I've said goodbye. Everyone else has left. It's just the 2 of us now. One thing people ask, in Enchanter versus Bard, who gives more ADPS? And the short and easy answer is you say, well, a melee group, the Bard will give more ADPS. A Castor group, Enchanter helps more. The reality is the Bard almost always adds more ADPS than an Enchanter. Because in that Castor group, there's going to be pets, swarm pets, melee-based pets. There may be melee mercs. There's probably at least one melee in there. And the balance is going to tip to the Bard. If it's strictly wizards we're talking about, then yes, the Enchanter definitely adds more ADPS. And the Enchanter adds a lot of ADPS. And it's not just the Bard blows away the Enchanter in a caster-based group. In a melee-based group, there's no question. But in a caster group, most caster groups are mixed caster groups. There's going to have pets, mercs, etc. Bards just hands away. Enchanter has other strengths. Bards have a lot of spells, but in the modern game, it's narrowed very much. Most of those spells have been deprecated by the fact that they're providing a specific amount of damage to a game where when they came out, this was a lot of damage, and now it's a little extra DPS, but not a lot, because most Bard songs are not percentage based. The ones that have stood the test of time and that are almost mandatory are songs like Aria and War March. And War March only has like a 5% DPS bonus, but that's 5%, and that's going to be higher than 1,369 hit points for something, And songs do last longer, but if you're throwing chants in the mix, it makes it very complicated to have a lot of different songs in your melody. If you can drop your chants for some reason, and it's rare that you're going to want to drop your chants because you're going to be doing 250,000 DPS once you've, especially if you're a raiding Bard. I've tried to give you the facts and let you make some decisions. You look upon what I've given you just as a starting point. Okay, I will shut up now. I know this isn't like a polished video, but this is just to give a few thoughts on how you might want to work with your song lineups. Now we can end this conversation. I will talk to you later. Bye.